There's a Zulu on My Stoep, also known as Yankee Zulu internationally, is a South African comedy directed by Gray Hoffmeyer. The film would go on to break box office records in South Africa, becoming the highest grossing local movie in the country's history. But while it was loved by audiences at the time, it's definitely one of those movies that hasn't aged too well. So let's dive in, what works, what doesn't, and why it's such a bizarre, nostalgic piece of South African film history. The film stars Leon Schuster, who also co-wrote the film with Gray Hoffmeyer, alongside John Masosika. The story follows two childhood friends, one white and one black, who grew up together during apartheid, but drifted apart as adults. Years later, they reunite after winning a lottery ticket while being chased by a racist organization. It's part buddy comedy, part social satire, and part slapstick chaos, the kind of film that could only have come out in early 1990s South Africa, a nation trying to find its new identity after decades of division. Now, if you watch the film closely, you can definitely see how it borrows from Home Alone, which of course was a massive hit just a few years before. You even have a scene where the character of Tinky goes to watch the film. You've got the kids setting traps for the villains over the top pratfalls and sound effects that were so exaggerated they almost feel like a cartoon. Speaking of sound, let's talk about those elephant sound effects. I don't know what they were thinking. They're so badly mixed and timed that they pull you right out of the scene. It's one of those so bad it's funny moments that gives the film its sort of weird charm. The villains are those Nazi-inspired bad guys, completely absurd, over the top, and laughable in all the wrong ways, but at least they get their comeuppance in the end. They're heavily mocked, and that's part of the film's strange attempt at tackling racism through parody. Now let's talk about the performances, because honestly, that is where the film has some merit. Leon Schuster, love him or hate him, gives one of his more toned-down performances here. He's earnest, he's goofy, but he's trying to tell a story rather than string together hidden camera gags. And that's a big difference compared to his later, more outrageous comedies. I feel Schuster approaches this film with proper and good intent. He, in his sort of childish comedic way, is trying to shine a light on racism and have a dig at it, as it were. Then of course there's the late John Masosika, who's excellent in this film. He plays an American version of the character with real energy and heart. For me, he really is the comic standout in the film. His American accent is excellent, and even when he was controversial in whiteface, he plays the character exceedingly well. It's Schuster here, of course, who lets him shine and almost take the lead of the film. Sadly, though, John would pass away in 2008 after suffering a heart attack in Johannesburg. Watching this film now, you're reminded of how talented he was and how much warmth he brought to his roles. Together, Schuster and Masosika have great chemistry. You can tell they're having fun, even when the script goes completely off the rails, and that energy is infectious. I also have to compliment Wilson Dunster here as General Diehard, not to mention Terry Trias as Rowena Labuskakny. Both give their all in their respective villainous roles, with Dunster really going full out here as Diehard. Now, story-wise, it's as predictable as it gets. You can see every twist coming from a mile away, but again, it's not trying to be high art. It's a crowd-pleasing buddy comedy at the end of the day. Underneath all the silliness, the film actually does have a decent message about racism, friendship, and equality. It uses humor, however clumsy, to talk about apartheid and reconciliation in South Africa. Sure, it doesn't always hit the right notes, and yes, the execution is often tone-deaf, but there's something admirable about its heart being in the right place. When There's a Zulu on My Stoep hit cinemas, it was a massive success. Families loved it, and it became a VHS staple, and later a DVD classic when it was re-released in 2004 and again in 2009. But in retrospect, it is much more a complicated film. Look, by today's standards, the black and white face scenes are hard to justify, and some of the humor doesn't quite translate well into a modern world. Still, though, I feel it remains an important piece of South African pop culture, a reminder of a time when the country was in transition and filmmakers were trying, however awkwardly, to make sense of that. The film also is heavily inspired by another big hit from the time, Gods Must Be Crazy, and in many ways was also supposed to be kid-friendly entertainment. And the film takes a swipe at racism in a sort of cartoonish manner. Ironically, the film would also become a massive success in post-communist Eastern Europe. And while the film's use of white and blackface was criticized by Western viewers, such gags were more accepted in Eastern Europe, where blackface was still practiced in public media in the 2020s. Oh, and not to mention the Prince William, Prince Charles at the time, and of course Camilla's strange added storyline, which also would have been quite controversial at the time, as of course as Charles was still married to Diana. It's so absurd, it kind of works in a strange way, although it's a real massive dig at the British royal family. So look, is There a Zulu on My Stoep or Yankee Zulu a good film? No, not really, but it's kind of so bad, it's good. It's packed with heart, nostalgia, and the kind of earnest energy you don't see anymore. Everyone involved clearly cared about what they were making, even if the end result is all over the place. It's childish, it's messy, it's absurd, but it's also weirdly lovable. There's a Zulu on My Stoep gets a 7 out of 10. Not for technical quality, but for nostalgic charm, the effort and the unintentional comedy that makes it an absolute time capsule of early 1990s South African cinema. If you grew up watching There's a Zulu on My Stoep, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Does it still hold up, or should it stay buried in the VHS archives? Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell for more reviews, retrospectives, and everything entertainment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.